The Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
Hello, very warm welcome to The Locker Room here on Independence Live on our Friday night. Hey, it must be football weekend. That's why we're here again as well. So joined by my usual co-host, Graham Duffy. How are you, Graham?
I'm good. Can't wait for the Scottish Cup weekend, and hopefully Hearts don't let me down.
I've not saw you for ages, mate, so that's why I just thought I would say how are you. You know, I've not saw you since maybe 11 o'clock last night. But anyway, and welcome back to the show, Rory Finlanskin. You've not been here for ages, but nice to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back on, Michael. It has really been a while. Probably, I don't know. It was probably kind of around about the start of the season I was last on air. So it's nice to be back on The Locker Room.
And also, we didn't have any money to sign him, Graham. We've just signed him as a bossman to now till the end of the season. It's Mikey. How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. Yeah, thanks for coming on. Mikey is a Hibs fan, so we'll get in about talking about that game later on as well. Get your comments coming in. We're on YouTube and we're on Facebook as well. I think we're on Twitter tonight as well. I should know this, but I don't. I've only been doing this show for about 10 years and I don't know where we're on, but anyway, it's all the brain that's kind of starting to go a wee bit. Or maybe it's just because I'm working with Graham every week. I'm not sure. Anyway, so we're here until 7 o'clock. Okay, now it's called X. Yeah, that's right. However, me and Graham and also Nigel lives with our partners. And if I see my ex in this house, she actually gets worried and I get a bit excited. But anyway, more about that coming up at 9 o'clock tonight. so tune in for that one. Get your comments coming in. We're here until 7 o'clock. Graham, we were here last night talking about the Rangers Benfica game 2 each, and a bit of sad news came out about an hour ago actually that a Rangers fan died when he was at the game. He was on, a young man going to watch the game, and he's not coming back.
Yeah, massive sympathy towards him and his family and friends. No one should got a football game or not come home. It is really sad news there. I think looking at the pictures, they did look quite young. It is very, very sad. And like I said, he's gone over there to enjoy a game of football with his mates. And sadly, he's not come home. It's a real, real shame. And like I said, massive sympathy towards his family and friends at this very, very sad time. It's never nice.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I don't know. You think like when you go to a football game and you can't, you go and get you're not going to come home. It's quite sad. So yeah, so sympathies to his family and friends, and also Rangers Football Club at this time as well. That news came out just an hour ago before it came on there. Stephen Ray's side, I've not saw you for at least a week. Hi guys, how are you? I was going to ask you if you're looking forward to the Scottish Cup weekend, but no, we'll move swiftly on from that because I'm a professional.
That's really harsh.
It is, but I can get away with it. But I was this live. Yes. Okay. So thanks for watching, Stephen. First of all, let's kick off with the big game tomorrow, Rory. I don't know if you'll be going to this game, 12:15 on a Saturday. You've not been on for ages, so first of all, I was going to ask you, how do you think Kilmarnock's going this season before we get into speaking about the game?
Yeah, so I think Kilmarnock are having a pretty excellent season, I must say. I mean, we're now sitting fifth in the table, kind of quite comfortable in there as well. Like, comfortable, top half, potentially even, getting into Europe, all going well. It's been fantastic, and of course, for well, for a lot of people who aren't Kelly fans, we're probably known as now, the team that can sometimes spoil the Old Firm's day a little bit. Of course, as at the start of the season, we kind of gained a reputation for that. But the key to Kelly's success this season has been, recruitment. And you could argue, although we're yet to really see the benefits of it, you could argue that we kind of won the January transfer window, bringing in the likes of Greg Stewart and Kevin Van Veen, we're doing some great stuff, on and off the pitch. And I mean, will Mate continue and Derek McInnes we trust?
And I suppose, Laurie, that I must ask you, it's not been on the show, as I said. I mean, beating Celtic back to back and beating Rangers in the first game of the season, and also you were unlucky not to beat Rangers a few weeks ago at Rugby Park.
Yeah, we were unfortunate because every time we've played the Old Firm, we've always given them a game. Even when they have beaten us, we've at least gave them a scare because, like you say, the other week there when Rangers returned to Rugby Park, they had a tough game, and on another night, Kelly could have won that because, of course, there was the moment, at the start of the second half where Matty Kennedy has a chance and it's saved by Buckland. That's a massive save, for the entire season, whether it be for us or for the title race. If Jack Buckland doesn't save that at 1-0, Kelly go 2 up and perhaps may have went on to win that game. It was a real sliding doors moment, that one. And I mean, getting a point at Celtic Park the other week there isn't to be, frowned upon either. Even with that one.
Graham, we've been quite impressed with Derek McInnes', as they used to say at Rugby Park, but they don't say it now. I don't think Derek McInnes' blue and white army. Graham.
Yeah, they've been excellent. I mean, Mike, I think he's already said that there, Laurie, that the signings they made in January and the summer were brilliant. Bringing in Greg Stewart, bringing in guys like Van Veen, fantastic signings. I know that Stephen, if you're still watching this, would still hope that Van Veen was at Motherwell, but clearly, unfortunately, didn't get him. But Kilmarnock have done really well this season. They're sitting very comfortable. I think they will finish 4th. It's between them and St Mirren, but I think they will finish 4th. They've had a great season so far, and if they get European football, it'll be incredible. And I genuinely think there won't be a lot of folk out there, even Aberdeen fans, who would sit right now and say that Kilmarnock wouldn't win tomorrow. Because I think Kilmarnock will win tomorrow. It'll be tight. I think it'll be 2-1 to Kilmarnock. But what a season they've had. And they'll go to Pittodrie full of confidence tomorrow. Derek McInnes going back to the club that he knows very well. And I think they will come out of there with a semi-final place. Because honestly, they've been brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed, Graham. And this is it. Like, it's hard to... Not that I'm a betting person, but it's probably quite hard to bet against Kelly at the moment, or at least bet in Aberdeen's favour. Because, I mean, if you talk about, getting defeat from the Joseph victory, Aberdeen gave us a shining example of that, last week. I mean, going 1 up in the first minute and winning up until, was it 95th minute? Mirren got themselves level, and then they went on to lose the game. So I'd like to hope that we can take advantage of some of the kind of vulnerabilities that we've all seen in Aberdeen over the past wee while.
Mikey, what about you? Have you been impressed with Kilmarnock this season so far?
Yeah, hugely. I think they've been one of the shocks this season. They were 10th last season. They've really pushed on. I think they're getting back to where they were a few seasons ago before they got relegated. So yeah, if I'm Derek McInnes right now, I'm very happy with it, and I think they have a huge chance of getting to Hampden now, and that would bring in a lot of money to the club for next season as well. So yeah, they're in a good spot.
Yeah, so let's go on to talk about the game tomorrow, Laurie. 12:15, as I say, it's a wee bit unfair for the Kilmarnock fans could go up to Aberdeen, but hey ho, they'll pack that end out because it's a big quarter-final, despite it's been on the TV. What do you think of this game tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I will say, for the record, you mentioned, the top of your question a wee while ago that asking whether I was going. I won't be there, however, I will be watching it on the TV, of course. But plenty of Kelly fans will be there. I think we've sold over 1,000 tickets anyway. I can't think of the figure off the top of my head right now, but for a 12:15 kickoff for a game that's on free to air TV, where what are we talking? At least 3.5, 4 hour drive to Aberdeen from Ayrshire. Kelly fans always will, have good away allocations and good away crowds, but it's especially impressive going into tomorrow with that kickoff time. But putting that aside, we've got to go into the game with a lot of confidence, considering in years gone by, particularly when McInnes was in the opposite dugout, Aberdeen were notoriously a bogey team for us. But this season we seem to have put that to one side. Having beaten Aberdeen 3 times, of course, once at Tawdry and twice, quite dominantly in fact, at Rugby Park, including the other week there, and then of course in what was it, October, in front of the Sky cameras. So we can beat Aberdeen, and I don't really think that Neil Warnock will get his second victory in charge of Aberdeen, because I think his only other victory has been in the Scottish Cup against Bonnyrigg. So I don't think he's going to come out on top tomorrow.
Okay, let's hear from the Kilmarnock manager now, Derek McInnes. He was speaking on Wednesday about the game tomorrow against Aberdeen.
I think love the Scottish Cup. I want us to really relish the opportunity that's there. Obviously we've overcame a couple of tough games to get ourselves in a position, already beating a Premier League team, and it's important that we just concentrate on the performance. I've no doubt that the players will be bang at it. They've been that right throughout the season, so no reason for us to think that won't be the case. It's just hoping we can deliver a big performance, because normally when you get through the rounds in the cup, especially when you go away from home, it's a bigger performance is required. And I think that I know Aberdeen are struggling for positive results at the minute, but Aberdeen are too many good players. Aberdeen will start winning at some point, so we just need to hope it's not this Saturday. And every day from a Kelly persuasion, we'll go up there, big crowd. I want the crowd to get right behind us. So every day from Kelly, getting up there, getting right behind the team. We want to try and make it a good afternoon for us, and we're in decent form going into it. We've had decent results against Aberdeen, but I think that doesn't really count for a lot. It's what counts on Saturday, and a big performance required, but a brilliant opportunity. You look at them and they've got good individual players. They've got a boy at the top end of the pitch who can be the game changer for them, and he has done time and time again this season. But it's important for us to, having just played them, I think it's important that we've done more work on Aberdeen. We kind of know roughly what team's going to come in. I know Neil's obviously tried to find a formula, and he's changed it a few times, but I'm probably just more concentrating on us, to be honest. If we can replicate a lot of what we're doing, we're not searching for a level of performance. We're searching for our best form, like every team. But what we've been throughout the season, it's been really encouraging for us, and the players should go onto the pitch on Saturday, recognise it's a tough game, but also relishing what's in front of us. It's a chance, and it's a chance that we hope to go and take. Ronan McKenzie had a back injury at the weekend. He was nominated as a sub, but felt it in the warm-up, so he's nursing that at the minute to see he wasn't an option for us off the bench on Saturday as a consequence. But we're hoping he's going to be okay for the weekend. Stuart Finlay hasn't trained with us this week yet, but the intention is for him to train tomorrow. So all being well, he'll come back into it. And Greg Stewart, as I said in Friday's press, we're trying to manage a groin issue he's got. So Greg managed to do some training today. Hopefully there's no reaction for that, and he'll come back into the squad. So, and answer your question, only two boys that will miss it is Kyle McGuinness and Brad Lyons as we stand now.
I've offered you 4th place in the league or Scottish Cup final. What would you take, and you can't have both?
I can't have both. We can have both. I believe we can have both, so I'm not choosing one over the other. I'll take winning the Scottish Cup over finishing fourth, but I think we can work towards both, to be honest.
Well, I was going to say as well that Kilmarnock's had a bit of taste at Hampden a few years ago when they played Celtic, and what was it before then? That was 10 years before you went to a semi-final. So Kilmarnock has had previous experience playing at a national Skigam and a national semi-final.
Yeah, so we have had, the previous experience in USA. So that was against Celtic in this League Cup semi. That was last season. That was, although it feels like forever ago. So that was January last year. Of course, Kelly were denied what looked like a Stonewall penalty from when I was sitting on that day. And then, of course, prior to that, our last visit to Hampden was against Celtic in 2012 when we won the League Cup with Dieter van Tonhout scoring a header, and a name which Mikey might kind of put shivers down Mikey's spine a little bit, where Lee Johnson is in, former Hibs manager, puts in the cross of his life to Van Tonhout. But yeah, Kelly have had experience, but you can't get enough of playing at Hampden, can you?
I presume Mikey's still having nightmares about that as well. But yeah, are you okay, Mikey? Yeah.
Yeah, I just had to tell someone to be quiet because they wouldn't stop shouting.
Was it Lee Johnson? No.
I say that to Michael all the time. Be quiet, mate. Stop it.
So yeah, as for Aberdeen, Mikey, what do you think of them going into this game? Have you been a bit disappointed with the fact that when Neil Warnock went in there?
I think me and basically everyone expected more of a manager bounce from Neil Warnock. I think since he's come in, there's been no impact at all. And the squad's good enough. I'm just not entirely sure what's going on at the moment. They're not scoring goals and they're conceding goals at the same time, which is the best way to lose football matches. But since he's come in, the only win he's got is against Bonnyrigg. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on for them, but there definitely is something.
Do you think, I don't like to say this in front of Rory, Glenn, but do you think if Aberdeen wins tomorrow, that would get this season back on track a wee bit? Because if they go out tomorrow, basically that's it, this season finished, because I don't think they would get relegated. That they'll be playing bottom six football, bottom half six football after the split. But I don't think the Aberdeen fans will buy that. But what I think they might buy is a cup run to the semi-finals.
It's funny how cup football can be a completely different thing to league football. It gives you that kind of switch off with how you're doing in the league. Now, I don't think tomorrow will have any bearing on Aberdeen at all. They could win tomorrow and still lose the next few games, which they probably will. But it just gives you a bit of a boost. The chance to go to Hampden, the chance to go to semi-final. I don't think Aberdeen will win the cup, if I'm being realistic. But, we talked about it before. That new manager bounce, Neil Warnock has got so much experience, but it's just not happened for him yet. I think Mikey's right. They do have a decent squad there. But Majowski's not scored in the last 5 games. He's off form. And I've said it before as well, Neil Warnock's press conferences, for me, if I'm an Aberdeen fan, I would not be happy with some of the stuff that he comes out with. Be a bit more positive than you're being. It just seems to me, and I said this last week, I used the term busman's holiday. That's what it feels like to me. He's come up here thinking, this will be a cakewalk, Scottish Premier League, it'll be absolutely fine. And it's not worked. He's won 1 game, and that was Bonnyrigg Rose. And even then, they weren't great. Bonnyrigg had chances in that game. And if it wasn't for Majowski, they could have lost that game.
Mikey, what? Oh,
sorry, my laddie was phoning me at the same time. He's not having that desired effect at all.
Mikey, what do you think of Neil Warnock's comments after the games?
I think it's a weird one because, in a sense, he is right. They're not playing well enough. But some of the stuff he's come out with, especially when he had that thing with Majowski, saying that he would have taken him off. I think it's not going to help them, but at the same time, he does have a point. So I can see both sides of it. The only thing is, if you're in this situation and you're only there for a few games, your job is to come in and motivate the team, and he's not doing that at the moment at all. So I'm not a big fan of it, but I can see why he's doing it, if you know what I mean.
Laurie, before he came into Aberdeen, everybody was getting excited because he's a box office name in the English game, even though he's not won anything, and it's hard to believe that. But have you been surprised how he's not managed to get a tune out of that team?
Yeah, I thought he would at least have got, some sort of, response or the kind of cliche new man your bounce a little bit, because I remember watching his first game when Aberdeen played Rangers at Ibrox, and I actually thought they weren't too bad. I'm like, could he maybe, at least get something out of them? But it doesn't really seem to have clicked at all. I remember when he first came in the first press conference that he did. He was talking about top six finish and the Scottish Cup win. I mean, it's a bit like the question at the end of McInnes's press conference the other day of like, which one would you rather take? There's a solid chance that Aberdeen could quite easily get neither. Although, as Graham quite rightfully pointed out, cup football can be a welcome distraction, even if you're having a bad season.
We've got a few comments coming in, guys. Keep them coming. We always like to hear from you on YouTube. Hi, guys. Who is your favourite player ever from each of your clubs? I think we'll get into that debate later on, actually, as well. And good evening to Gregor. Sorry, never saw your comment there on YouTube. He goes, good evening. And all that. So keep your comments coming in, and we'll get through them between now and 7 o'clock as well. So, Laurie, what do you expect from Kilmarnock tomorrow?
I think from Kilmarnock, I've been expecting, more of the same from recent weeks because, since maybe 4 or 5 weeks now, we've had the same. It's pretty much the same 11, only really made changes when you were in fourth, which is a far cry from where we were last season, where there used to be a running joke amongst Kilmarnock fans about a kind of team selection tombola, where then McInnes would constantly chop and change his team. Whereas now we've got that little bit of stability, and we're very much expecting to be, a solid team, decent going forward and solid at the back. So I think it's going to be a tight game. We're going to probably be quite tough to beat, but I kind of want just to go for it a little bit. Don't sit back. I kind of want to go at Aberdeen because I get the feeling they're quite vulnerable.
Mikey, what do you think tomorrow?
I think that it'll be a classic cup game where both sides are going to put quite a lot out. They're going to put their best teams forward. I think Kilmarnock will win the game. I think Aberdeen are in a bit of a mess at the moment, but I think it'll be very, very close, more than what people might be expecting. I think it'll be 1-0 Killie, but I think that it could go either way because obviously it's a cup game. But I think Killie just have that strength and they have the form to back up as well. So yeah, I'd say Killie will win 1-0 in my opinion.
Laurie, see that question that was asked to Derek McInnes by the reporter when he was asked about if you'd rather finish fourth or win the cup. As a fan, what would you rather? Would you rather finish fourth or win the Scottish Cup if you're going to pick one? What would you want?
And then if I only pick one, for the record, I love Derek McInnes' response. But if I could only pick one, I'm saying Scottish Cup because we've not won that, and it'll be, I think, 27 years this year. I mean, my arithmetic is not great, but 1997. And yeah, so I would go for winning that because, of course, we did have a very brief taste of, Europe after a third place finish under Steve Clarke, although, of course, the European football came under Alessio afterwards, where we got knocked out by a part-time team from Wales. So the less said about our European journey, the better, but I'm going to go for a Scottish Cup win.
Do you think that was I'm not going to mention the reporter's name because I know him, but do you think that was a kind of daft question that he asked Derek McInnes? Because it basically, I knew what he was going to say, rather before he opened his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it maybe wasn't the smartest question from the reporter, but it does show. You're saying you knew what Derek McInnes was going to say. It does show how confident McInnes is. The fact he was willing to come out with that in a press conference and say, "I want to win both." That was a real show of confidence and almost kind of healthy arrogance, for want of a better phrase. And that's something that as a fan I absolutely love. The question itself, well, it's just one of those. It happens. You hear plenty of questions like that in press conferences and plenty of funny answers. I mean, I'm sure, and I'm not trying to shame them here, but I'm sure that same reporter also asked in the press conference, would Derek McInnes basically trade any of his white players? And then Armstrong or Kennedy for anyone else in the league was another one of the questions. So I think Wednesday was just one of those days where maybe we're struggling for a question.
I was going to mention his name there, Rory, but now that you said that, I thought, no, I'm not going to mention his name. I'll tell you after the show, right? I'm sure Rory knows who it is as well. But we'll fill you in after the show. Guess the reporters' comments no, in fact, don't again. No, we don't to be taken to court on Mikey's first show. It's not setting a good example for the show. Graham, I know you're brilliant at looking into the crystal ball and all that for tomorrow. What's the score going to be?
I usually get these wrong, to be fair, but I genuinely think Kilmarnock will win this. I just think Aberdeen are so poor. They're conceding too many goals. They're not scoring enough, and that's a recipe of a disaster. I see Kilmarnock piling more misery onto Neil Warnock. I'm going to on Kilmarnock. I mean, I just think Aberdeen are in such poor form just now, which I am surprised about, because I said it before when we came on weeks and weeks ago. I thought Warnock was a good appointment. I thought it would be a decent appointment, and it's just not worked at all. And I don't know why it is. It does seem to be that he's up here for a holiday. Some of the stuff he says after press conferences are just bizarre, and it's just not happened for him. And I genuinely can't believe that Aberdeen are actually worse under Warnock than they were under Barry Robson. That's mental to me. So I think Laurie will be happy tomorrow. I think Kilmarnock will win 2-1.
So we haven't saw you for a wee while, Laurie, and we want you to come back on the show. So we're going to make it a full house and say 2-0 to Kilmarnock tomorrow as well. But if we weren't here, we would go on to Aberdeen to win. It's just one. It's just a game. Stephen Wraith 3-0. So there you go, Laurie. You need to come back on the show now. When you get to the final, or get to the semi-final first.
Can I just ask Laurie a quick question? I wanted to know about Danny Armstrong. Now, obviously, brilliant for Kilmarnock. He's been outstanding for Kilmarnock. Do you think that you will keep him in the summer, or do you think he will leave? And if you think he will leave, where is he going? Because I've said previously that I would love him at Hearts. So where do you think he would go if he leaves?
Okay, so to answer the first part of your question, I think he'll go in the summer, because his contract at the minute runs till the end of next season, I think. So I don't really see him signing the new one, to be honest. If he doesn't have enough, however, in terms of where he'll go, I reckon maybe the English Championship somewhere perhaps. But I think Hearts, Graham, actually did look at signing Armstrong, but were basically left out of town by a valuation. I'm sure there was a comment from I can't remember his name. You would tell me. You're a kind of recruitment guy, basically
Joe
saying
Savage. Joe
that's him.
Savage.
Basically saying that we were. I think we actually valued him over £1 million, which you didn't like. So he would be a good fit for Hearts, but I don't really want to see him at another Scottish club.
Mikey, would you take him at Hibs? I think you might have said before that you might have done, but would you take him at Hibs?
I'd take anyone at Hibs, but no. In all honesty, yeah, I would, because I think he's more of a versatile player as well. We already have Martin Boyle in his position, but he can play in multiple different positions. I need to add something to the team, so yeah, I'd take him all day.
Mikey, I heard that Danny Armstrong's a goalkeeper, so you might get a goalkeeper out of him as well.
Probably better than David Marshall. Yeah.
I didn't want to say that, but well done, Mikey. Yeah, so by the way, that was Mikey's comments there. That wasn't mine. I just fed him the line and stuff like that, and he done the rest. Okay, so that's the early kickoff tomorrow at 12:15. Aberdeen against Kilmarnock, live on the old BBC, and I think that gives it away what we were saying about that reporter. Anyway, let's move on. Who's in bother now? The Sunday game is 2:30 kickoff. It's a bit weird then when it comes to the quarterfinals because they're all over the shop. They don't play in the one day and all that, so that's a bit weird. And there's no Friday night football on tonight, so we'll miss that game. Even though, like you were saying, Graham, that Morton and Hearts, that should have been on tonight as well. It would make sense for people in Edinburgh travelling to that game as well. So Celtic against Livingston 2:30 kickoff. First of all, Brendan Rodgers. Well, it's been a busy week actually. Brendan Rodgers has got us. He went up against the Beaks at the SFA, and he lost his appeal. But we'll hear from Brendan in a wee minute or two. But apparently that he is going to sit down with the lawyers of Celtic and go through it and maybe try and appeal it. What do you think of kind of like freedom of speech in Scottish football, Mikey?
I think to an extent, yes, you should be able to. But I mean, if we're just going to let people go to the referees and complain every time the decision goes against them, then it's leading to something worse. So I can understand exactly why they give the suspensions out and everything. I think that to an extent you should be able to question decisions, but you shouldn't be able to go after every single one, if you know what I mean. And there's been quite a few times that the teams across the league have gone to the SFA, and I think they don't like when they get questioned. I think that's pretty obvious. So yeah, I can see why they do it.
What about you, Graham and Laurie? What's your thoughts on that? And there's also rumours as well that Brendan Rodgers could miss the Celtic game, miss the Rangers game at Ibrox as well. How big a loss would be like that to the team? There's no fans there already.
I'll let Laurie come in on that first.
Okay, so I think it's just it's not the if he mentions the old firm in a few months or whatever it is, it is what it is, because I mean it might just be giving John Kennedy some practice on a touchline. I don't know, but as per whether the referees should be questioned. It's I think Mikey covered it quite well, that you should be able to criticize the referee when making mistakes, whatever, but don't go overboard with it. Don't just like point score about the refs and about VAR, because we know that the referees aren't great. I don't think I'm revealing anything there, but it's difficult because the referees they need support as well, because they're part-time. They're clearly struggling with the VAR, whatever. Sometimes they probably do need cut a wee bit of slack as well. I mean, I'm I'm as bad for criticising them as anyone, but in fairness, I wouldn't want a job, and man, I wouldn't want a job of a linesman either, or assistant referee.
Let's ask Graham, because this situation happened at Sunday's game against Hearts.
Well, we've only got just about an hour left, so I'll try and keep this short. But that's why I decided to come in after Laurie did. So I can understand some of what Brendan Rodgers says, and I get it. I think you should be allowed to criticise. I think when you question integrity, that's where it draws the line, which I get. But I think he would have had a bit more credit to what he said had he actually said at the same time that the Celtic penalty last week wasn't a penalty. But he never said anything like that. He skipped over that. It was only about Celtic decisions. Now, I said it last week when I came on the air. I don't think either penalties were penalties. I said that at the time last week. Neither penalties were penalties. The Celtic one wasn't a penalty. It was Yang initiated contact on Cochrane and went down. It's not a penalty. I also said the same thing last night, that Iwata, for me, that wasn't a penalty. What's he meant to do there? I think the red card was right. It's a high foot. It's dangerous. Now, there's no intent there, but that doesn't matter. The fact is, his foot is high. He could have taken Cochrane's eye out. He didn't, which is a bit, I know it's a bit dramatic, but for me, it's a red card. And I would have said the same thing had it been Cochrane on Iwata. It's still a red card. Intent doesn't matter. It still happened. So I think it's still a red card. Now, like I said, I get a lot of what Brendan Rodgers said. And one thing that he did mention that I agree with is the inconsistency. We've said that before on here. That's the problem. But I think a lot of the stuff that he said, would he have said the same thing if Celtic lost last week? Or Celtic won last week? No, he wouldn't. For me, it's sour grapes that Celtic got beat. And of course, I get it. We're all football fans. I get it. But his words might have had a bit more credit had they actually said at the same time, well, to be fair, our penalty wasn't a penalty either. But he never said that. It was all about decisions against Celtic. That's where I've got the problem with that.
Mikey, Stephen comes back in the chat and said that SFA is trying to teach Brendan Rodgers a lesson. I don't know what you mean by that, but hopefully it doesn't, because then it opens a precedent to other managers or other players. It comes out to bagmouth officials as well.
Wait, sorry, what did you mean?
Yeah, no, I was just meaning like the SFA is trying to teach Brendan Rodgers a lesson in terms of like suspending him for a few games. So, do you feel as though if the SFA is going down that road that they're setting a precedent in terms of like if Nick Montgomery comes out to say something, then the SFA is going to, claim the same?
I think so. I think that they're trying to get rid of the bad mouthing to officials because they've already got a lot of it from fans and media anyway. So I'm not entirely sure why they ban him for. It must be quite a few games if he's missing the Ibrox game as well. So I couldn't see why it's such a big suspension, but I can see why there's consequences for coming out and just bad mouthing officials. So I can see why they've done it, but again, I'm not sure how long it is. But if it is up to Ibrox, then I think that's a bit excessive. But yeah, I think they are trying to get rid of the bad mouthing of officials, which happens from every angle at this point.
To be fair, I don't know when it starts, Glenn, but like I've heard talk this week saying that if he was going to be banned, why not ban him right away? Why wait until April?
I know it does seem daft. I don't know how they work these things out. It does seem a bit daft. And if he is banned for the Ibrox game, it is a big blow. I've already seen numerous folk on X. I'm going to call it X because that's what it is. But I don't know why they've waited. I don't know why they wait that long. If they're going to ban him, just do it now. But he will have his right to reply, which is fine. But I mean, I don't want to criticise referees too much. I really don't. But it's very difficult not to when every week we are talking about this on the show about VAR, about officials. It becomes very difficult not to talk about it, and it's just so. It seems to be that they're making so many big mistakes. And I said this last night on the show. It seems to be that they've actually got worse since VAR came in, and I think, how is that possible? How can you get worse when you've got a monitor right there that shows you the incidents? You can't get any worse than that. I can understand human error. If VAR wasn't there, I understand it. Human error. But you cannot still make mistakes when you've got a monitor there. That shouldn't happen. It's the same last night we talked about on the show last night, Michael, with Andy when he was on. That penalty that Rangers gave away. I mean, I said it last night. What is Souttar meant to do there? You can't jump with your hands by your side. The handball rule is the worst one yet because nobody knows what it is. And I said it last night, and somebody else mentioned it a few days ago as well on one of the radio shows. Referees know the laws, but they don't know the game, and that's the problem.
Laurie, I know that, and to be honest, you're the first person I've heard saying that, Graham, and it's quite interesting actually. If Celtic would have won the game, Brendan Rodgers wouldn't have come out and said that. I think he would, even if Celtic won the game 2-1 or 2-0 or whatever, he would still come out and say that after the game.
I can to kind of go back on Graham's point and what you were saying there, Michael. I don't really think Brendan Rodgers would, or many opposing managers would. These things tend to get swept under the carpet unless your team's lost. And one thing I will say on the kind of decisions that were made at Tynecastle on the Yang high boot, that just reminded me of an incident last season, and Mikey might remember this. Was Kelly against Hibs. I'm almost sure it was Hibs at Eastern Road, and Kyle Vassell catches a Hibs player. I can't remember who, and I remember we were all moaning that, you know, how was that a red card and whatever. But it's kind of almost identical to the Yang incident, and at least there's some sort of consistency. I mean, although there's some more consistency across the board is absolutely needed. And we're always talking about VAR, we're always talking about refs. It doesn't matter if it's this show or other shows or even online. It feels like it's the main thing that we're talking about now rather than football. It's just all about referees and hearing about this, that, and the next thing. IFAB bringing this law and that law. You know, we're not just reading reports on how the laws are changing than actually reading up on new players, for instance.
Okay, so let's talk about the game then. About Celtic and Livingston at 2:30 kickoff on Sunday, and it's on Viaplay as well, Graham's favourite channel, I think. So let's talk about the game. Graham, you could go on to see a Celtic win, can't you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Livingston are one of the worst sides I've seen at Tynecastle for a long, long time. They had picked up a little bit recently. I know they drew with St Johnstone last week, a game I think they had to win. But going to Celtic Park, Celtic will be raging after that defeat last week. They'll be looking to bounce back, and I think this is a great tie for Celtic at home. A poor Livingston side.
Yeah,
it's a great tie for them. I fully expect Celtic to win this game at least 4-0. I don't see any way Livingston win this game. You know, you can look at maybe Celtic's form recently and think, oh, maybe Livingston have got a chance. I don't see any chance at all. They are genuinely a very poor side. They're going down. I've got no doubt about that at all. I make a lot of predictions on this show, but Livingston go down is one that I'm more than happy to stick by and say that will happen this season. But yeah, I don't see anything other than a comfortable Celtic win tomorrow. They'll come out flying. I said it last week as well. As much as we won the game last week, I was delighted with that. The one thing that I do think Celtic missed, and I know they were down to 10 men, which I get, but the one thing I do think Celtic missed is Callum McGregor. That leadership in that midfield, I do think they missed that. I don't know if he's back tomorrow, but I don't think it should matter. Celtic should have more than enough quality. Yeah, Celtic should have more than enough quality to beat Livingston side that I think are just really, really poor this season.
Laurie, Livingston fans will be sick of looking at Celtic because they play them on Sunday, but also they play them in 2 weeks in the league as well.
Yeah, they will, and I mean, they will be absolutely sick of them. I mean, I don't know if perhaps the league game may well be on the plastic, which might give them some sort of leveler, but I still don't think it'll make any difference. And I mean, I'm going to back up Graham's prediction. Livy are gone, and I think David Martindale knows it, and ultimately he's known it since the summer, because he was always, complaining about how small their budget is, how they can't be competitive in the league. I think David Martindale has known for a while that this is the year where Livy, as good a job as he's done, is where Livy are going to come unstuck, and it is a bit of a shame for them, but I think this is the year they're going to go down. And as you say, Celtic are most likely going to win comfortably and progress through to Hampden without any real issues, even with the likes of Callum McGregor being out.
We only see Livingston on the TV, Mikey, but I know that you go to some Livingston games as well. What do you think of Livingston this season so far?
Not exactly great, but I think that going on to this game at Celtic Park, I think that it could go one of two ways. We know that Livy are going to come into it and sit back and be defensive. I mean, that's a given. It could either go like Livy just defends and hold out and try and get it to extra time, which I don't think will happen, or Celtic will just win comfortably. I think that Celtic might win by 2 goals. I don't think they'll hammer Livy, because even when Celtic will score, Livy will just sit back anyway. So I think that watching Livy this season, it's quite obvious that Livy have been punching above their weight for quite a while now. They've got the smallest budget in the league by a mile, as much as David Martindale likes to let us know that. But yeah, they've got the smallest budget. They always seem to get results out of nowhere. But it just seems like that's kind of dried up this season. And from when I've seen them, the style of football has been absolutely terrible. It's just been their centre backs putting it up towards Guthrie, Newbley, Anderson, and they're just not getting anywhere. I think there's been a few good players in the team. Obviously, Dan Mackay, James Penrice, Stephen Bradley's been good when he's played as well. But what's gone wrong for Livy this season? Pretty much everything. They're just not very good.
Mike, David Martindale was talking to the media yesterday, and they were saying that we go there with no fear, because we are one more game away from Hampden. And I know that you were saying that they're going to sit behind the ball, but I think they'll have a wee go, because in a way, would you agree with me that it's Livingston's kind of cup final?
I think I would agree with you to some extent. I think that they'll have bits of the game where they'll try and come out, but I think Celtic will just pin them in. And I think that with the quality that Livy do not have this season, they'll be just really struggling. And I think that although it may be a cup final, it's a cup final against a much better team, regardless of how well Livy play. I think that Livy will try to come out at times, but it won't really work for them. I think they'll be relying on Tete Yengi trying to hold players up and get it in behind, which again I don't think is a very good strategy against a team like Celtic. But I think that they'll give it their all with you. I know that they'll do that, but I don't think that they have the quality to get anything out of the game.
Let's hear from the Celtic manager now. He was speaking today about the game. Brendan Rodgers.
A bit of a knock, so may not feature. Apart from that, then it's pretty much the same.
Said the other day that Callum was to have a scan. Is this?
Yeah, he had. Inconclusive really. I think we had it in our mind anyway. He would miss through until the international break, and then take it from there. So yeah, he travelled for the scan, but nothing really showing up in that so much. So we'll assess it over the next couple of weeks. For us, it's an opportunity to make a big step into the semi-final. I think David's done a brilliant job over a number of years there. I certainly know my first time up here that they were always a team that was very committed, very tough to beat, and that's in his psyche, and I know that will always be in his team's psyche. So we prepare for a tough game. I always feel that we have to look at ourselves first and for us, it's really just the consistency in our work and our approach. I think if we, the second half against Motherwell, the game against Dundee, the beginning of the Hearts game, and even through that we 10 men, that approach was, the players worked very, very hard in the game. So so that consistency is important, to take that ethic in, and if we can do that, that'll elevate our game, our football, to a high level, and hopefully that can get us into the semi-final.
Yep, and of course, Brendan Rodgers said at the opening package there that it was Lewis Palmer is injured as well. Before we speak about Celtic, Mikey, how disappointed are you to see that Abada is going away? Because obviously, without going into too much detail about what's happening elsewhere, it's got nothing to do with football. How sad is it to see a young player with young mounds of potential having to leave Celtic because of the situation at the moment?
I think that it's a really unfortunate one for the player, and he would have been a really good option in the Celtic team this season. But obviously, with the politics of the Green Brigade, and quite a lot of the Celtic fans anyway, are just colliding with him personally. And I think that's just a relationship that's far gone. So I think that the longer that he would stay, the worse it would get. So I think it's the right time for both of them. I just don't think that it should have been the way that it ended, because I think that regardless of where he's from or what's going on, if he's a player for your club, you back him. And as long as he's not going out and actively hating against the fan base and their beliefs, then I don't see there's any reason in trying to drive him out. And I think that Nir Baton came out and spoke out about it as well. So I think it's a relationship that's kind of broke down, but he was a really good player when he played. So it'll be a shame for them just how it ended.
And that's why he's not been playing for this season, Glenn, because obviously his head has been down. Because I know by going to the Celtic press conferences week in, week out, different outlets of the media had asked him the question, but every time they asked him the question, his head is always down. But it's quite sad to see in the player, because he's still a young guy and he's got lots of potential. But now, he's away to Pascas New. And I mean, the difference is if it wasn't for the ongoing incident, I think he would be in the team.
Yeah, it is a real shame. I mean, for me, it should never be about off-field stuff. It should be about the football for me. And for a young lad as well, it must be really gutting for him, because he's come to Celtic, a new life, a big, big club in Scottish football, and he's probably thought, I can make my mark here, and he's having to leave because of non-football issues. That is not a great look for Celtic or for Scottish football. This is a general thing. It's not a good look. So I feel sorry for him, and I hope he does well at his new club. I think he will without that turmoil. But for me, it doesn't send a great vibe. We always try to talk about Scottish football on this show. We always do. But this doesn't show Scottish football in a great light when it isn't football reasons that he's left for. I think it's very sad.
Yeah, I suppose, Lordy, that we always say that we should leave politics outside of football or outside the football ground, because you go into the football to support your team, whether it come out, Hibs, Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen, Inverness as well. Politics should be left outside.
Yeah, of course. It's not about politics, although of course for certain fan bases are of course more political, but is obviously part of why the situation has arose. But I mean, politics should settle football. We're all football fans. Should all have one thing in common. We all love football. All love supporting our teams. Let's just leave the politics to one side. Leave it at the turnstile, please.
Yeah, no, well said. Well said on that one. Graham, let's talk about the game then. Obviously, Mikey's spoke about the Livy side. What about Celtic? Obviously, Celtic will miss McGregor now, as you heard Roger saying, up until the international break, and they'll be hoping that he'll be back for the Rangers game. I think that's in the second week of April, that game as well. So, what do you think? Do you think he'll change the team up, or do you think he'll play the strongest team possible?
I think strongest team possible. It's cup football. You want to get through. The Celtics should have a big enough squad to win this game comfortably, and I think they will. You know, they could make 2 or 3 changes to the thing and win the game quite comfortably, but I think they will go as strong as they can. I've said it numerous times on the show as well, that for me, they have to get more out of Kyogo. I don't know why they've changed the formation, because it doesn't suit him at all. I actually thought he looked dangerous when he came on last week against Hearts. I thought he looked really good. And I was actually worried last week, because even though Hearts were winning the game, when I saw Kyogo came on, I thought, he always scores against us. Even with 10 men, I thought he's going to score last week. Thankfully, didn't, but a couple of decent chances actually. But Kyogo is a real threat, and it's not happened for him this season. This could be a game for him to get his goal scoring form back, because I generally think he'll get plenty of chances in this game. Obviously, Adam Ida didn't have his best game last week, missed a penalty, but I think he's been really good for Celtic. This for me is a chance. If I'm Brendan Rodgers, if I'm Kyogo, if I'm Ida, I'm looking at this game thinking, I could grab a few goals here. Because this is not a good Livingston side. They are not going in with confidence. And you said it earlier on, Michael, as well, and you are right. This is real Livingston's cup final. They've got nothing to lose. It's a free hit for them. They're not expected to win. If they pulled this off, it would be a major, major shock. But I don't see it. I really don't see any way that Celtic don't win this game. And like I said, I think if Celtic score early, then it'll just help. It'll make the crowds a bit happier, and I think they'll go and score a few more. But Mikey's right. Livingston will probably go there and be very defensive. If they can keep it tight for the first 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe the Celtic crowd gets a bit frustrated, but I just don't see it. I'm expecting nothing more than a comfortable Celtic win.
Rory, Livingston fans would not like to go there and get beat 7-1, because the last time Celtic was at Celtic Park, they beat Dundee 7-1. And to be honest with you, I was at that game that night, and that could easily be 10.
It's one of those ones where you kind of feel like if Livingston don't watch their side, it could. I'm not saying they'll be 7-1 again, but if you were to have told me that a team was going to win 7-1 at Celtic Park, and it was between Dundee or Livingston, and I didn't know, the scores, I would have said it was going to be Livingston all day. They've lost 7-1 there. So I'm not necessarily saying that as a prediction and that's going to happen again. It won't. But Livingston could be in for a tough afternoon. And I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to come from Celtic these days? Because obviously you go from, winning 7-1 to obviously losing at the weekend. Of course, we've discussed the refereeing, etc. But, Celtic are tough to call themselves at the minute, which I know will be giving David Martindale at least a tiny bit of confidence, but no, it's going to be fairly straightforward, I would imagine, for Celtic.
Mikey, I know that I was saying to Graham it's Livingston's Cup final, but to be honest with you, it's Livingston's Cup final, but also they'll have a big payday as well, because it's on the TV as well, and 50-50 at the gate receipts as well, so that would work well in Livingston's favour.
Yeah, I think they're very happy to have obviously this tie for financial reasons. They probably wouldn't have picked it out as their first choice. Obviously they'd get more money by reaching Hampden and trying to get to the semi-finals. But I think that it'll have a financial benefit for them, obviously. But I don't see a huge amount of Livy fans going. I can see, like, obviously the last time they were at Celtic Park, they brought something like 36. I think there'll be more than that, but I don't think there'll be a massive away crowd. But I think that it will benefit them financially. But I think Livy are in a lot more trouble than however much they're going to get for the ticket prices.
Just a very quick question. I've kind of asked Mikey this before, but I'm going to ask you guys as well. So, assuming that I think we all think Livingston are going to go down, do you think that when Livingston go down, David Martindale will be loyal and stay at Livingston, or do you think that when this season finishes and they're in the Championship, that he might decide, you know what, I've done all I can, I'm walking away? What do you guys think? Do you think Martindale will stay if they get relegated?
I don't think he'll be sacked. I think he showed too much loyalty to them for them to sack him. Because if they were going to sack him, they'd sack him in January when they'd gone like 17 games without a win. But I think that if he decides to walk, then I think a lot of the fans would like that. But also, if when Livy go down, let's be honest, they're in a very big hole because they've got, I think, 3/4 of their squad are out of contract. They're going to obviously re-sign a couple of them, but if they're down in the Championship, players like Newbley, Anderson, Shamal George, they won't want to stay. And I think that if I'm Livy, I'd want to stay with David Martindale because he's punched above Livy's weight for quite a while. And if one person's going to be the best option to try and bring them back, and who knows the score, it'll be him. So I don't think that they'll sack him. It's really down to him if he wants to walk out of the job. I think there would be other options for him, but I think he will stay loyal to them if you were to ask my opinion. But I think that Livy as a club would.
Just before I bring in Rory on that question, so in the back of Graham's question, Mikey, do you think when Livingston goes down, they'll go part-time? Because I'm just thinking about the financial side as well.
I'm not sure about that one. I think that it really depends where they are at the end of the season financially. I think it would be a bad move for them as a sporting decision, because going down they're already going to be on the back foot, and to go part-time, that's even worse. I think financially, if it keeps them afloat, then yes, obviously they will. But I don't think their finances are that bad yet where they'll go part-time, because I think they will lose a lot more money if they stay in the Championship or do a Hamlin and drop down to League One. So I think that there's a decent chance they will, but it just depends on their finances when they do go down.
Laurie, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think Martindale, again, unless he walks, will still be in the Livingston dugout next season in the Championship, again, making the assumption that they do get relegated. But I mean, maybe he should walk. Maybe he should move on from Livy, because he's been there since 2014, I think, in various roles. Eventually worked his way up to being manager and basically being Mr. Livingston. So maybe for his own pride, maybe there are ways he wants to be the guy to take him back up. So it's a bit of a catch-22 for Martindale, because as Mikey said, he would probably have a few options, but I'm not actually convinced that David Martindale would want to go and manage in our club. I don't know why, but maybe just that synonymous with Livingston. You don't really see him with another team with tracksuit on. And as for whether they go part-time in the Championship, as you were saying, Michael, I don't think they would. I mean, the Championship, well, it only has one part-time club at the minute, right, in Arbroath. So I don't really think they would go part-time. Financially, they are in a tricky place, but I don't really know how Livingston's finances compare to other Championship teams. But even Hamilton, who Mikey mentioned, they're all now in League One. They're still full-time, so I don't see why Livy can't sustain it.
Mikey, see just on Martindale, right? See if David Martindale was to leave, do you think there is a viable option out there that they could bring in? Because let's be honest, Livingston are not a massive club. They don't have a massive fan base. So if Martindale was to go, do you see a viable option there to come and replace him? Because I don't see anything right now.
I think if it was down to me, I'd pick Jack Ross. I said that for the Ross County job as well. He kind of left Dundee United under a cloud, obviously getting hammered 9-0 off Celtic. But I still think he's a decent manager. He did really good things with Hibs when he was there, got us third, and was probably going to get us top half if we didn't sack him. So I think I would pick him. Would he want to go? I don't know, but his stock's not exactly very high. I know he's got a job down south, I think, in a different role, but I think I'd try and bring him back if I could. And his stock for being a manager is not exactly the highest, so I think if he wanted the job, he would get it. But I think that David Martindale would be a better option, just because you don't need to go through the hassle of trying to bring in a whole new squad and a manager to go with it, because then you're at risk of going completely downhill.
There you go. So people's beginning to give the predictions of the weekend. Livingston to win, Livingston and Hibs to win as well. I don't know if that's Mikey commenting using a different name or whatever, but yeah, thanks for your comments. And Gregor is prediction for the weekend games: 2-1 to Kilmarnock, 6-0 to Celtic against Livingston. Mikey's a happy boy here because 3-2. Right enough, Mikey's nerves will be a bit shaken up after that one, and then Graham is another shaky. It's 3-2 to Hearts against.
Here's a question for you, right? Just I hope this doesn't happen, right? But here's a question for you, right? Just imagine in a perfect world, right? This was to happen. Let's just say Kilmarnock, Livingston, Hibs, and Morton all get through. Who's winning the Scottish Cup if that happens? Who's the favourites if that happens?
Hibs.
Well,
I'll say it.
Knew you were going to say that.
Go be Kelly, doesn't it?
Okay, I'll go Morton then.
Well, to be fair, if it's Morton,
Well, I'll go. To be fair, if we've all picked different teams, I'm going Livingston just for the sake of it.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, to be fair, Morton would probably be my second choice. As there's like 5 or 6 ex-Kelly players in there. And there's the blue and white, albeit suits not stripes.
Don't forget, keep your comments coming in, but until 7 o'clock. We're back on Sunday night actually after Graham went to the bingo. We're on between 7 and 8, looking back at the game, and hopefully we'll have Mike on as well. It depends if you're eating a pie after the game or not. And also we'll be back next Thursday for the second leg of Rangers, the Europa League game against Benfica as well. Okay, let's talk about your game, Mikey. Sunday night, 5:30. Another weird.
No one cares. Get Morton Hearts on. Come on, hurry up.
Yeah. So Graham told me to spend about half an hour on this game, and we'll talk about Hearts and Morton on Sunday night. So that's a fair deal to me. I just present the show. People tell me since okay. So 5:30 on Sunday night might make it weird time for the game, but nevertheless, also on Viaplay, Hibs against Rangers. What do you think of this game?
Very worried. I think that's the main thing. Obviously, Rangers came off the back of the game on Thursday, which is pretty much my only hope for this game. Hibs are on decent form, to be fair. We've been all right in the last few games. We should have won the derby. We didn't, so that's our fault. But my main concern is that we do not start games well at all. We were so bad against Ross County in the first half. We were quite poor against Dundee in the first half. And the only game that we started well was the Hearts game. And yet again, it was level at half-time. So I think that if Rangers start quick, which I think they might, it could be a very long day for us. But I think that we do have a decent team at the moment. We've got a good squad. Our signings have been good. And as I've said, it's a cup game, so anything can happen. But I would be very surprised if we do win the game.
I'll come to Graham last on this one because I know what he's going to say. Hibs winning 5-0. Laurie, what about you? What about you on this game? I must admit, the last time I think Rangers went to Easter Road in the league. Am I right, Mikey? And I watched the game and I thought Hibs were pretty poor that game. Rangers won.
Yeah.
I think they won 3-0 that night as well.
Yeah, they won 3-0, but they scored an offside goal as well, so it could have been even worse. But we were terrible that night.
VAR again, eh? That's.
I don't think it was VAR. I think it was just the linesman, but I can't remember.
Well, you better watch what you say in the show, Mikey. You might get pulled up by the SFA as well. The email's coming to me as we speak. Laurie, what about you? Hibs against Rangers.
Yeah, I was imagining that Rangers, sorry Mikey, are kind of favourites. I mean, Hibs are quite tough to call because you can watch them one week and they're pretty good playing nice football and whatever, and then you can watch them a week later and it just doesn't click. I mean, Hibs do have some decent players. And when you were at Rugby Park a few weeks ago, I was quite impressed by I might have spelled the name wrong. Winger that he brought in January, Malida.
Malida, yeah.
Yeah. Has he kept on at all, or is it just maybe one game he looked decent?
Yeah, he's been very good for us, and he's been one of the better players that we've had this season. And he's genuinely on for signing of the season, and we brought him in a month ago, which just says how bad our business usually is. But yeah, he's definitely kicked on. He's had quite a few good performances.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. But this is the thing with Hibs. They've always got decent players, and you always think Hibs are in with a chance. But I think I feel that they're that inconsistent. It's hard to kind of look past Rangers on Sunday. Although, but for your sake, Mikey, and for the interest in the Scottish Cup, I hope that I'm wrong.
I hope so too.
Graham, what do you think of this game?
I don't care. Nah, I'm being serious. Mikey knows me, and he knows my thoughts on this already. I think Rangers will just sneak it, but it'll be a very tough game. I have been impressed with Hibs. I have to be honest, I always am. I've been impressed with Maluda. I think he looks a really good player. Marcondes in midfield looks really good. I think Obita at left back looks really good. I do still think Hibs are not brilliant defensively, but Mikey's right. The Derby game Hibs should have won. They had plenty of chances, didn't take them. I said at the time it wasn't a penalty that we got. It wasn't a penalty. Delighted we got it, but it wasn't a penalty. So Hibs should have won that game, but they have improved recently. The form has been better. I think they'll give Rangers a really difficult game. The fact that it's at Easter Road, it will make it more difficult for Rangers off the back of that game last night. It depends who Rangers put out. I think they'll still put out a strong squad, but I think Hibs will make it difficult. This will not be easy, and I wouldn't be surprised if Hibs did win this. But I just think with the quality Rangers have got, I do think they'll sneak it. But this is a really tough game to call. I really do believe that. Unlike the other ones where I think Killie have got better form than Aberdeen, Celtic should be Livingston, Hearts should be Morton. This is a tough one to predict because I think both teams coming at this in decent form. But I just think that Hibs, I'm just not sure about them defensively. But going forward, I think they look really good. I don't think Martin Boyle has been brilliant recently. He's probably the one that I think is maybe not quite on form yet. But I genuinely think Hibs have done well under Montgomery. And obviously, we talked about it weeks ago. Hibs have now got the money coming in from Bill Foley, but I don't think we'll see the best of that until next season. But yeah, this is a really tough game to call. But I do just think that Rangers will just sneak it.
Mikey, I was going to ask you two quick questions there. What do you think of Mick Montgomery, because his form's been up and down so far? And also, I wanted to come back on Graham's point about the owner. Potential owner coming in the Hibs. Do you think that would be a good thing for Hibs and for Scottish football? But what do you think of Mick Montgomery?
It is a weird one because, as other people have said in different things as well, there's been up and down. It's actually been, we started well, we dropped off, and we're kind of picking up again. So it was kind of weird. Go back a month ago, I was not happy with him at all. But the last sort of 5-6 games, even there was a couple that we didn't win, I was very happy with the performance. And yeah, as it stands, I am happy with him. He's brought in some good players in January. It took a bit of time for a couple of them to get into the team, but now that they have, they're playing really well. So yeah, I think that his transfers have been good, and it gives me a bit of confidence. And as for the new owner thing, I don't think it'll impact the top two. I think there's just too much of a gap there. But I think it will make it interesting for third next season if we get the right players in, and that is a big if. I think that we've got some good players already, but I also think that seeing as he's brought in some good players in January, and there's been quite a few rumours that we might get in the summer. Obviously, we had that Rissatori guy from Australia. He looks a good player. So I think if we invest the money right, it will be a good thing for Scottish football. But I don't think that we will be anywhere near the top two because they have other revenue other than just the owners.
Do you think that if the game goes to its
Just
sorry, Graham.
Just to reply to Old Enthusiast, mate, I've got eyes, pal. That was never a penalty. I'm not blinded by anybody. I've got eyes, mate. I can see that wasn't a penalty. I said at the time, if that was given the other end, I would never say that's a penalty. It's never a penalty. I'm not blinded by anybody, pal. I've got eyes myself. Stevie Wonder can see it wasn't a penalty. So you're talking nonsense there, mate. Never a penalty. And I'm not blinded by anybody.
I've lost my train of thought there. So if the game goes to extra time on Sunday, Mikey, what you're hoping it's not, you'll be hoping the game will be finished in 90 minutes. Do you think that will work in Hibs' advantage because of Rangers' big game on Thursday night, or do you think it will never play a part in the game?
It's always tough to say because I think that the way that Clermont's got them playing, they'll be good from the first to the 120th minute. But at the same time, I think that obviously the game the other night, or last night, sorry, that might take a bit out of the players. I don't think it'll have a massive impact, but I think that if the longer the game goes on, the more chance there is that we can play on their fatigue. But I think that they can rotate the squad and have a good enough team to win the game anyway. So I think that if we can get it done within 90 minutes, obviously I'd be happier with that. But if it goes to extra time, then I think it becomes a bit more even. But at the same time, I still think that as a Hibs fan, I can't ever expect Rangers to not beat us because they are the better team. They have the better squad. So we need to try and rely on us playing really well. And it doesn't matter how long the game goes on. If we play really well, then we have a chance at winning.
Mick Montgomery was talking to Hibs TV today, Mikey. I don't know if you saw it. They said that they played well last night, but they have a big squad. But it's a big opportunity for us to get the semi-final, and I would love to take Hibs back to the semi-final. Would you agree with his comments, Mikey?
Yeah, I think that Rangers do have a very deep squad. Even though they've got a couple of players out with injury, it's still good. And yeah, I'd love nothing more than to be back at Hampden as long as we're not playing Hearts again because we'll probably get battered as always.
Oh, please let that happen. Please.
Laurie, from a Rangers point of view, do you think that Thursday night's game will take its toll? I'm saying because obviously if the game was at Ibrox, then we would be talking about maybe a slightly different game, but because Rangers has got to go over on the way back from a European game and also to travel to Easter Road on Sunday night, do you think that will play a big part in the game?
To be honest, I don't think it will because Rangers are used to, traveling. This is a common thing for them, multiple games a week, sometimes, across Europe, as of course they're in Europa League this season and have been in the past, so I don't think it'll impact them, to be honest. I mean, from a Hibs perspective, I'm sure Mikey and the Hibs faithful will be wanting, Rangers to be a bit kind of jet lag. I mean, Portugal's not that far away. I think they'll be all right.
Philip Clement never done a press conference today. He was speaking about the game last night, and he said it's going to be an important game, but we need to focus on this one if we want to get to the semi-final at Hampden Park. So, what do you think the score will be, Mikey?
As much as I want to back us, I'm not gonna be delusional. I think it'll be a very close game, but I think Rangers might win 2-1, and that's simply just so that I'm not setting myself up for disappointment.
Do you think Martin Boyle will play a big part in the game because he's a big time player?
No, he's not been very good this season, so I don't expect him to be great. I think that Maeda will have a bigger impact. I'm not sure if Mariah Welsh is back. He came off on Saturday with an injury, and he's been very good for us. So I think that Martin Boyle won't have a massive impact on the game based on the rest of the season. I'm more looking forward to seeing the likes of Maeda playing, who's been brilliant for us, albeit as always solid at left back. So I think there are more reliable options.
Okay, so that's the Sunday night game between Hibs and Rangers. Let's go over to the other side of Edinburgh. And before you say it, Graham, no, I'm not going to come out with my usual joke as well, because I've only been using this joke for about 10 years and you still think it's funny. So thanks for laughing. You might not be laughing on Monday night. Sorry, Graham, I just had to get that one in there. Did you see that I did there? Maybe not. Morton against Hearts, quarter kickoff on the old BBC. Graham, this is going to be a tricky game, but I mean, you must go in full of confidence after last week's win against Celtic. But it's a different game and different surroundings as well, because you're not playing You're not playing at Tynecastle, you're playing at Capello, and it's a very tight park down there.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Motherwell have already been there and got beat. Sorry, Stephen, if you're still watching this, mate. But it's a difficult game. It's the draw that I was hoping for. I would have rather have at Tynecastle, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. But it's a game that I'm looking forward to. Hearts should have more than enough to get through this tie. I've seen a few folks like Team Selection on Twitter and stuff and saying that they maybe rest a few players. I wouldn't. We have to go strong in this game. We have to play our strongest squad and get through this tie. I would love it to be like an Airdrie game where we're 3-0 up after half of an hour. I don't think that'll happen. I think Two Game has done a great job at Morton. Apart from they were on a good run into the last two games where they got beat by Dundee United and Inverness at home. But this is a game that I'm looking forward to. It is a game that Hearts should be coming out of this in confidence. We do have injuries. Neuenhoff is now out, which is a shame because I think he's been outstanding recently. But we've got more than enough quality to get through this tie. And of course, if Lawrence Shankland is firing on all cylinders, he can get us through. I mean, he's been sensational. 28 goals last season, 27 goals this season. He's probably going to surpass the 30-goal season mark, which would be just fantastic. So yeah, this is a game I'm looking forward to, but it does have that slight trepidation because it is at Capello, a Monday night. They've just knocked out Motherwell in the Cup. So it's a tough game, but it is one that I'm expecting Hearts to get through. We've got to be professional, get the job done, and make sure we get through that tie.
Yeah, Laurie, what do you think of this game?
I think it'll be a really interesting watch. I mean, as Graham had alluded to previously, I think it would have been ideal for tonight and not Monday night, but I'll probably watch it anyway. I mean, Morton aren't to be underestimated. I mean, they're fourth in the championship, doing rather well. Of course, they have had their issues with injuries, and to answer one of the comments from Oda Enthusiast, who I'm assuming is a Hearts fan, going by the username on YouTube. Morton's form has been, well, it was very good up until the game against Motherwell in the previous round, and then it's been a bit of a mixed bag. Of course, they drew with Queen's Park, they beat Airdronians, drew with Raith Rovers, but then have lost their last two coming into this, losing to Inverness, Caley Thistle and Dundee United. But I think I think Morton will give Hearts a really, really tricky tie. Of course, Capello is totally different, from playing at a lot of, Premiership grounds. As you've got fans on top of you, tight pitch, and whatever. Although, in fairness, on the whole tight pitch argument, Hearts are probably fairly used to that with Tynecastle. But I think Hearts will get the job done. But Morton are not going to make it easy at all.
Graham, Stephen Naismith was talking to the media. He said, "We're in the right frame of mind. We understand that we are going to be a difficult game. That a lot of the squad has plagued Morton during our time in the Championship season. So the big thing for us is getting through to the next round." And I suppose when it says it like that, Graham, when you play away from home in a kind of tight park on a cold Monday night, it's all about the win instead of the performance, you would say.
Yeah, that's all that matters, just getting through. And the semi-final draw will be after the game on Monday as well. Hopefully Hearts are in that draw. I mean, when we lost to Aberdeen early December, I was concerned where Hearts were going. I genuinely thought Naismith wasn't the right man for the job. And since then, we've had one loss in 15 games in all competitions. The run has been incredible. Because I genuinely didn't see that coming at all. It's been a great run. And yes, of course, everyone's going to look to Shankland. And you would, because he's been phenomenal. But Frankie Kent at the back's been brilliant. Obviously, he's been injured last week and obviously Monday. Alec Coughlin's been great. I think Callum Noonhoff's been outstanding as well. So we have had really good players on that side. Kenny Vargas has got 6 goals this season. So we have been very impressive recently. But cup football's about winning the game. It doesn't matter how you do it, just get through. So if we scrape a 1-0 win on Monday, I'll take it just to be on that draw. But I do think that we should have more than enough. I think Motherwell, I don't think they went there thinking they would win the game comfortably. But Morton just had a really good day and Motherwell didn't have a great day. We have to be on it from Monday, right from the first whistle, and I think we will be. It's a massive, massive game, which is why I'm saying I wouldn't make too many changes from that team that played on Sunday. I don't see the point in making too many changes for this game. It's really important we get through this tie. We've got a chance to get to semi-final. And then obviously, whoever you get to semi-final, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this is a big game on Monday. This, for me, is our biggest game of the season, which I know sounds daft, but we've pretty much got third place wrapped up, I would say. 13 points ahead. I don't see us dropping that now. This is a big game for us now. We have to win this game and get back to Hampden again. We've not won a Scottish Cup since 2012. Sorry, Mikey. I know that's painful. But we need to get back to Hampden again and win a cup. So this is a big game for us on Monday.
Laurie, are you surprised that none of the big clubs in the, I would say, the bottom half of the Premiership aren't looking at Dougie Imrie because he's doing a fine job there, even though he beat Motherwell last season? But if I'm right in saying that he just missed out in the playoffs last season as well in the Championship.
Yeah, Dougie Imrie is doing a fantastic job at Morton. I mean, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Mikey maybe will correct me on this. Was Dougie Imrie not a coach at Livingston at one point? Is that the way he kind of cut his teeth in coaching and then ended up, getting the Morton job and doing really, really well? I mean, I could see him, ending up at a kind of bottom end Premiership team sooner rather than later. Although who knows, Morton could be dark horses for becoming one themselves.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I know that he did go into a coaching role when he retired because I know he was at Hamilton for a while. But yeah, I think that I did say this previously. I do think that Morton might have a good chance of coming up this season because just the momentum that they were on. I mean, it's kind of dropped off a little bit, but seen as where they were at the start of the season, they were bottom of the league, I think, for the first few weeks. The run's been brilliant until obviously they lost the last 2. But yeah, Dougie Imrie's a brilliant manager. I think he's doing what Chris Dolan did last season, and obviously he fell at the last hurdle. But yeah, I think that Dougie Emery wouldn't take a job at another club at the moment because he's doing so well with Morton.
And okay, so let's hear from the Morton manager, Dougie Emery. Of course, he won the Manager of the Month for February. He was speaking about the game against Hearts on Monday night.
Hearts, a top team. I've got a lot of respect for them. The run that they're on, obviously take out the Rangers game has been incredible, and we know how tough it's going to be, but we've seen what we could have done against Motherwell. We're hoping to try and replicate that. Any tie you get, the latter rounds you want to try and get at home, and we've certainly got that. We got the home tie against Motherwell, and to be fair, the cup competitions this season have all been at home for some reason. It's just been, they've been fair to us, and we want to try and use that to our advantage. The fans will be important to that, and we want to give it our best shot. Some players don't ever get there, and they've got the opportunity, like you say, 90 minutes to get there, and that's a carrot for them. You know, if they can go and get to the levels they got in the last 16, 17 games in the game against Motherwell, they've got to use strength for that. Obviously, we're missing one or two key players, but we can't use that as an excuse. We have to go there with the mindset that it's 11 v 11. Yeah, we'll give Hearts the respect that they deserve. They've been a top team this season, but like you said, there's one game in 90 minutes away from Hampden, and that's what they've got to try and emulate to try and get to. Obviously, you've seen the situation we're in over the weekend. That's not going to change, I don't think. Kirk will be back in contention. That's one I can certainly guarantee. As from the others, I'm not too sure. We need to obviously get news from the medical team to tell us if they're available or not.
The goalkeeper situation, how are they both doing?
One's fit, one's not fit.
There you go, Dougie Emery, Laurie. And I suppose that just talking about this game as well, that they've had previous experience, because that even though they beat Murrow in the last round, they went to Celtic Park. I think it was last season, and they get beat. But I mean, they put up a good effort in that game.
Yeah, and I mean they went to Ibrox earlier this season, didn't they?
Yeah.
As well, and I remember watching them that day, and they played rather well.
2-1
So
Rangers won, I think.
yeah, that's right. So they're a team that has that bit of experience, that bit of know-how, plus with Capello kind of behind them, they have to believe, and you know, and they've got good, you know, like Premiership experience in their ranks as well. I mean, and I'm not the same because they're ex-Kerry players, but what likes of, you know, Alan Power, Kurt Broadfoot, you know, solid guys that maybe aren't the most, you know, fashionable of players, for want of better words, but these are guys who know what it takes to, you know, come up against the best in the Premiership and get the better of them. I mean, Kurt Broadfoot, love him or loathe him, has got a few Scotland caps, and you know, having experience like that in your ranks, even though he's well into the wrong side of 30 now, is still going to be invaluable for them.
Yeah, so that is the game on Monday night, Hearts, Morton against Hearts. We'll talk about that game on Sunday, because I'm a nice guy. We can look ahead to that game twice, Graham, as well, because I'm just nice that way. And stuff like that. Let's jump into the Championship then, and look at some of the games that's on at the weekend. Dundee United against Arbroath, Inverness against Airdrie, Queen's Park against Packet Thistle, and Raith Rovers against the Pars Dunfermline. What's your pick of the games at the weekend, Glory, in the Championship?
All those Championship ties, Arbroath, the best one would probably be, of course, the bit of a derby, of course, between Raith Rovers and the Dunfermline. I'd say that's the one I would look out for, because of course Raith Rovers will be wanting to try and, you know, pile the pressure back on to Dundee United at the top. So yeah, let's go for that one as the pick of the two ties. And of course, Dunfermline will be wanting to get a result to kind of steer themselves clear of any like relegation playoff trouble, because the Championship, if you look towards the bottom, and the playoff spots is incredibly tight. One of the things about the League of 10, you know, it's just so so tough to call. No one knows how that's going to finish by mid-April.
Mikey, what's your pick of the games this weekend?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I think it would be that one, but just for a bit of difference, I will go with the Dundee United one because I think it'll be interesting to see Arbroath take that win on last Friday of how they played in the last sort of 20-30 minutes of that game against Raith Rovers and try and face up against Dundee United with it. I think that'll be a very interesting one to see because I think in the last sort of half hour in that game they were brilliant. And Dundee United, I think they will be the champions this season. So I think it'll be interesting to see if Arbroath can give them a good fight. And that might help them to try and get out of the spot that they're in because I think last week they were dead and buried and now they kind of came back in that game and it feels like they might actually kick on from it.
Graham, it's because I picked that at Scottish Cup weekend because I think if it wasn't Scottish Cup weekend, then you would see the Fife derby on TV. Of course, they play in the Scottish Cup. Was it last season? I think it was last season. They played in the early round of the Scottish Cup. But that would be a good game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Dunfermline have picked up a little bit. You know, James McPake wasn't overly appreciated by Dunfermline fans, and now suddenly they've jumped from 9th to 6th. So it's a big game tomorrow. And again, I talk about it all the time on the show. The Championship is such a great league. You know, Raith have kind of dropped off a little bit, but I still think they will. I still think they'll come up, though. If it's not through the automatic, I think they'll come up through the playoff. But yeah, it's a big weekend in the Championship. I think Dundee United now might just go and win that Championship. But it is just so tight, though. You know, we talk about it was only a couple of years ago that we spoke about this, Michael. It was only a couple of years ago, I think it was, that we talked about Arbroath being in the Premiership, and it didn't quite happen. And now they look like they're going to go to League One. I hope not, because they're a really good club. I was gutted that Campbell left. He's now at East Fife. But the Championship is just so tight, and that's why I've always said that whoever goes down from that Premier League, Livingston example, they'll find it very hard to come up. Because it is such a tight league and anyone can beat anyone. It is such a competitive league. I mean, Partick Thistle are third, but they're miles away from Raith. They're way behind. Queen's Park have had a kind of a different season just now, but I think Callum Davis has done a decent job since he's gone in there. But the Championship is a great league. It really is. And I just want to give a shout out to my Jambo tribe that's followed the show tonight. Older Enthusiast, Aviation, Sean are all in here tonight. Great to see you on, guys. And actually, something I didn't know, so thank you, Older Enthusiast, for telling me this, that Toby Civic has been called up to play for Uganda for the first time since David Obua played for them. So that's brilliant for Toby Civic. I genuinely didn't think that would happen. I've not, it's probably harsh. I've not been a massive fan of Civic. I think at times he makes a bit too many mistakes. He was great last week. So fair play to him for getting that call to the international stage. It's brilliant for him. Really pleased for that.
Before we move on, guys, to talk about the Oval Ball over the weekend, by the way, that's rugby, before you ask. Somebody asked a question. It feels as though it's 5 hours ago, but it was only an hour ago, promise you. It says, "Hi, guys, who is your favourite player ever from each club?" I presume that it's not every club on the Premiership because we've not got every supporter here. We've only got Kilmarnock, Hibs and Hearts here tonight. So I don't know I don't know who wants to go first in this one. It's a difficult question. This, Mikey.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched my team for about 9 years, 10 years now, so I've seen quite a lot of players. My favourite might not be the best player, but the one that I like watching the most has always been Stevie Mallon. The way that he could take a shot from 40 yards and it go in, his free kick ability, I thought he was absolutely brilliant for us. And yeah, I loved Stevie Mallon. Obviously Scott Allen, Canberry when he played for us as well, I liked him, but yeah, it will always be Stevie Mallon for me.
And then from the other side, you go for Eggenberg then.
Well, I'm think older than all of you, so I was around in the 80s, sadly for me. But it's John Robertson. It always has been. He was my hero growing up. He was just outstanding. There's been better players technically, but Robertson was just incredible. Now, I would love to see Shanklin get to that kind of stage, but he would have to stay for a lot longer. But for me, it is absolutely John Robertson. He is by far my favourite player at Hearts.
And Laurie, I'll come to you. Your Kerry player. I mean, if I was a Kilmarnock fan, I would say maybe. And Rob Graham says, he's the oldest one on here, but I think I'm a bit behind you by about 10 years. I don't know. Paul Wright.
Of course, maybe if I was old enough to have seen him play, yeah, Paul Wright's a good shout, and of course, very, very apt to mention that on this Scottish Cup weekend, of course, as he was
Scottish Cup winner.
Was the cup winner in '97. But in terms of in my lifetime, I'd probably say favorite Kel player to watch. Alexei Eremenko is who I would go for. Just the technical ability. He's one of these players. If he had more the kind of like 24-hour athlete mindset, he would have went a lot further. In the game. Technical ability, fantastic. You get some. He can make Connor Salmon look good, which I think Graham would appreciate.
God, yeah.
Yeah, made him look good. Plus, of course, Eremenko did, of course, score that cracker at Tynecastle as well. But yeah, so I mean, when I say made Connor Salmon look good, I mean got my move to the English Premier League at the time. He went to Wigan, at that point, and now Connor Salmon still in Scottish football. He's playing at Alloa now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
I think Connor Salmon works in the Chippy part time now. As well. So sorry, Graham. I just had to get that in there before you maybe came up with that joke.
Okay, just a couple of things in the chat here. Aviation says thoughts on Tate's performance recently. I'm a big fan of Macaulay Tate. I love the fact that we're bringing young players through, because it's been a criticism I've had of Hearts for a long time that we don't bring youngsters through. I think Tate's been brilliant whenever he's played. I think he might start on Monday as well. And Oda Enthusiast, my dad met John Robertson before a game v Hibs once and asked him if he was going to score. He responded with, "I'll score a hat-trick," and he did, or he scored 2. I can't remember the whole story. I mean, honestly, Robertson was one of these guys. He's a bit like Shankland in the fact that, as a Hearts fan, when you go to a game and you saw Robertson was on the team sheet, you knew he was going to score. And it's the same with Shankland. You now get the feeling that if Shankland's in the park, we're going to score, and that was Robertson. He was just a sensational striker. I would love to see Shankland stick around and break all his records, but that just won't happen. It would be great if it did, but it won't.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I'm going to ask you guys about your all-time favourite Scotland player at the moment. Obviously, we're going through a good spell, and we're going to win the Euros because do you know that we're going to Germany? Well, me and Graham's not. We'll be holding the jackets here. As well, I don't know about Laurie and Mikey. Are you going to Germany or just
No.
No. Oh.
So,
Laurie?
yeah.
No.
Hopefully I'll be going. I ended up being fortunate enough to get tickets for the free group games, and we're still trying to work out how on earth we're going to actually get out there, etc. But yeah, hopefully I'll be going to cheer on Scotland and Germany, and it's gonna be great. But as you say, Michael, let's be optimistic. We're going to win the Euros. Although
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
we're not going to look too great while doing it, though. I don't know if any of you saw the leaked Scotland kits from today. I don't think it looked too great.
It does look like a training top rather than a normal strip, but I actually don't mind that. I think the home one looks all right, but it does look like a training top.
Yeah, the home one looks not too bad, but I kind of think the away one, if you've seen that, looks awful.
I'm not a fan of either. I don't like either.
I can't quite decide whether it's white or whether it's like a kind of weird, like light shade of blue. But it looks too similar to the away kit we have just now. Only different that it's got a purple Scotland badge. Really?
Graham, am I being an old person here and saying that I don't care what the Scotland jersey looks like, long as we win games?
No, that is true, but I kind of like buying the strips, and I would probably buy the home one. I think it actually does look all right, but as long as Scotland perform, it probably doesn't matter. And I genuinely can't wait for the Euros. I think it's going to be quality, and I know that. I mean, we talk about it a lot, and I know that Steve Clarke has got a big call to make when he brings that squad. But genuinely, and I've said this before, I'll be genuinely raging if Shankland is not on that plane. He has to be on that plane, and he has to start mainly.
So we were asking about your favourite player of all time. I'm going to put you on the spot now because I can do that. About your all-time favourite Scotland player. Obviously, it might be a bit unfair for Mikey and Laurie, because I think me and Graham, the two old people here. Well, speak for yourself, Duffy. But anyway, so what about you, Graham?
Probably Kenny Dalglish. I think Dalglish was just a brilliant footballer. Obviously, I managed to see him play a few times for Liverpool. Well, not a few times, but I managed to see him play for Liverpool on videos that I've seen in that, and I just think Kenny Dalglish was just a phenomenal player. I think now it'll be a tough call. Alan McCoist's quality, but yeah, probably Dalglish for me.
Have you noticed, Mikey, that Graham never said John Collins there? I guess I would just put that one in there, maybe because he's a high B. I'm not sure. Laurie, what
Did you say John Collins or John Collins?
To be honest, Graham, I was expecting better for you, but anyway, your jokes has went down in my estimation. Oh no, wait a minute, they've never went up in the first place, so you know. Laurie, what about you?
In terms of favourite all-time Scotland player from watching the games, and I don't know whether Mikey might come out with a similar answer here. You probably guess where this is going. John McGinn, I would have to say, or as Graham Easton would say, Super John McGinn. I mean, best backfield in football.
The voice
of
Hampden.
A heart reference for you, Graham. There, kind of.
Yeah. The voice of Hampden Park and Tynecastle now. Mikey, what about you?
Yeah, John McGinn. Obviously, being an ex-high B, I love seeing him play. And before the last few years, there wasn't much to choose from. It would have been like Stephen Whittaker or something. So, yeah, probably John McGinn.
I could go really
Here's
back. Graham, I could go.
Here's a question. Here's a question for you. Here's a question for you. As obviously I'm older than all of you, but who's the best Scotland goalkeeper you've seen?
Well, you must have been psychic, Graham, because I was going to say Mikey's like that. Who's that? John Layton.
I know who that is, yeah.
I don't feel as bad now. Graham?
Oh.
Yeah, I think Jim Layton's got to be up there. I mean, I'm a big fan of Craig Gordon, of course, but I think Jim Layton's probably got to be up there. But I also think Andy Gorham was phenomenal. Just an absolutely brilliant goalkeeper.
Mikey?
There's not many options again, but probably Craig Gordon. He was the best that I've seen play for Scotland.
Laurie, what about you? I don't know about you, Graham, but I feel old speaking about Jim Layton and people like that, and like the guys are picking like John McGinn and Craig Gordon and all that. It makes me feel very old. But anyway, let's skip over that. Let's talk about that in another show. Laurie, what about you?
Yeah, so my goalkeeper, it's probably, and I imagine Mikey was having the same toss-up. It's probably a toss-up between, well, I suppose Craig Gordon, David Marshall, or I suppose Angus Gunn more recently. But you know what? I know Mikey gave a bit of a slagging earlier in the show, and he's maybe a bit past it now. But I'm going to give it to David Marshall for those penalty saves.
Yeah. Yep. No, exactly. Yeah, that was some night. I think we done a show that night, Graham. I can't remember actually. So yeah.
We did. We did.
Yeah, so talking about the Euros, haha, this is setting me up, by the way. I like this. We'll be doing some shows for the Euros, and also we have got, hopefully, we'll have a special show looking at Scotland because obviously this is a Scottish station. So why talk about anybody else? Because we're not. So we're going to have a special show about Scotland coming up in a few months' time, and a few special guests coming on the show, apart from Graham, Mikey, and Glory, because you are special, guys. I thought we'd just get that one in there for a bit of sympathy. Don't worry, I know I'm no good to get it anyway. So look out for that in a couple of months' time. And when we're talking about shows, we are doing a show on Graham's favourite subject. No, not knitting. It's VAR. So that's coming up in a few weeks' time as well. So look out for that. And also talking about shows, because we are very, very busy here. We are on Sunday night between 7 and 8, and also next Thursday between the Rangers and Benfica game at 8 o'clock. I think we're on at that night. Right, finally, let's go on to talk about the big game tomorrow for Scotland. Because Scotland has got a brilliant chance to win the Six Nations. First of all, they need to beat Italy first. And next week, they play Ireland in the last game of the Six Nations. So I'll run through the games this weekend. I don't know if anybody's heard of this team before. England? Have you ever heard of that team before? I don't know if that's wrong. England are playing Ireland. That is a 4:45 kickoff. Sunday, it's a 3 o'clock kickoff between Wales and France. And tomorrow, Graham, the big game is over in Italy. 2:15 kickoff, Italy against Scotland.
Yeah, and Scotland should really be sitting on 3 points because they should have beaten France. We all know what happened in that game. The try that wasn't given, that should have been given. We did beat England, which we always do now, randomly. We just seem to always beat them. But yeah, I think it's a game that Scotland should be winning. I think Italy, obviously bottom of the group, they are the whipping boys, they always have been. It'll be a tough game though. I think Italy have slightly improved, though the results maybe don't show that. But it is a game that Scotland should be going there and winning quite comfortably. And Ireland are sitting top at the moment with 15 points. That Scotland-Ireland game could be huge. I mean, that could be the decider. Again, it is very difficult. But tomorrow, I am expecting Scotland to win. But like I say, we should have 3 points because that France game, that try should have been given. And how it wasn't, I do not know.
Laurie, what about you? I mean, Scotland's did well over the past couple of games, and they beat the old enemy a few weeks ago to win the Calcutta Cup. That's 3 times back to back, and that's never happened before.
Yeah, that is a really impressive start, and it's great thing. It's a great thing to make a habit of. Let's keeping the Calcutta Cup here. That is something that it's good to make a habit of the nation. Of course, as Graham alluded to, Italy aren't exactly a formed team in the Six Nations. I mean, of course, they were kind of the afterthought, having been added into what was the Five Nations, and they seem to have really kind of struggled since. So, of course, as we're in a position, where we could potentially win the Six Nations, we can't afford to slip up in Italy, can we? That would just cause, all sorts of ridicule.
Although, Graham, it did happen before, remember? We were 2 games to go and we lost for the 2 games last season in the Six Nations.
Was that to me?
Yeah. I think we've got a bad delay there.
That was, Carlos, I wasn't sure. Yeah, I mean, I think Scotland have done really well this season so far. And it's funny because I said on like one of the very first shows we did when the Six Nations came in a few weeks ago that I thought Scotland could win this, and I still think we've got a decent chance. But we have to win tomorrow, and I think it will be difficult. I think probably for me one of the surprise elements this season has been how poor Wales have been. You know, they're sitting fifth, and I thought they'd done better than that. They're only sitting on 3 points, which is a bit of a surprise to me. But I think Scotland have got a great chance to win this. And we said it before about football. Winning breeds habit, and that's what Scotland's doing now. We're winning games. And that England game was massive. I mean, I watched that, and I genuinely was very, very happy to see us beat them. Because winning against England at anything is brilliant. And we deserve to win it as well. But yeah, I think tomorrow's a big, big game. I don't really see Italy winning. I don't think they've got the quality. I think there is, and I looked at this earlier on, I can't remember who it was, it might be Blair Kinghorn, but I think there's a Scottish player and Italy player both play for Toulouse. I think they're both fullbacks. So that could be a decent battle tomorrow as well.
Yeah. Fullbacks, yeah, you're right, Graham, that they play for the same club team. So that's going to be quite interesting. Mikey, what do you think of the game coming up?
Well, I'll be 100% honest. I don't watch much rugby. I watch Scotland when I can. And in recent history, I think that whenever I've seen the Six Nations, Italy seem to be near the bottom. So I mean, obviously, I don't have much expectations for Hibs or Scotland. But if I'm going to be honest, I think that we should win tomorrow. I don't know hugely about the table or anything, but you know, I mean, from previous experience, I think we should beat them.
Well, the people, it's a bit like Wimbledon, isn't it, in a way, because usually the people play rugby for the 2 months and then they actually forget about it. But you know, and the same as Wimbledon, when you see people playing with their tennis rackets outside and all that, and they actually forget about the sport. And it's a shame because it's too, I know that we say this word too often that it's to inspire people to take up the sport.
Yeah, maybe it is overused, but it's still true because you do see people, as you say, and some of Wimbledon's on, especially in the past when Andy Murray did well, you do see more of a kind of push about tennis and people, you know, doing interacting with the sport more. Rugby's the same because the thing is, a lot of people, and I'll admit to it, a bit like Mikey, I don't watch too much of it, but the one thing when I might watch it is when the Six Nations are on, and that applies to a lot of people. So if your country does well at the Six Nations, or if someone, you know, does well at Wimbledon in the tennis from your country, the knock-on effect that has for people who you could perhaps describe as fair weather fans could be unbelievable.
Okay, so that's all for the show, guys, for tonight. Thanks for watching. Yes, thanks for all your comments. Thanks to Rory and Mikey as well, and we'll be back on Sunday night. I just thought I would just pay tribute to one of my colleagues. I don't usually do this, but Nick Sheridan passed away yesterday at the BBC. It was shock, a shock for everyone, actually. Nick was a good guy. He was 32 years old, very young, and then taken so quickly. So our thoughts and prayers as with his family and all my colleagues up at the BBC as well, because in fact they covered the story last night on the BBC News, and I thought Laura Goodwin covered the story very well. That she had to hold back tears when she was speaking about it. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. That the guy was a completely nice guy. I had a pleasure of working with him a few times on different pieces that I did for the BBC. But as I say, I don't usually talk about this on the show, but I thought, well, that would be a fitting tribute to to English show come out. So we'll be back on Sunday, guys. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your football this weekend.
The Locker Room, with all the sports news you need. Live